Hello, everyone. My name is Louis Scicli, and I want to welcome you to the show. Our show will cover local news, local events, and politics. Please look for news shows every week on our website and Facebook page. We want to thank everyone for your ongoing support, and we hope you enjoy the show. Welcome back, everyone. I'm with Ann Parker again this morning, and we're here to do another podcast, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're changing up the platform of our podcast a little bit. We're going to be adding some stuff in, taking away some of the stuff, and basically we got a lot to go over today. So we're going to try to do it in under 30 minutes if possible. But if not, we might go over a little bit. Who knows? So good morning, Ann.
Good morning, Louis.
And we have our timer here, so we're going to keep an eye on it.
We're keeping an eye on it. Keeping an eye on it.
But yeah, Ann and I, we're going to start some different things on these podcasts, some different segments, and tell them a little bit about what we're trying to do with the other segments I thought would be interesting to everyone. Because you sent me some stuff and talked about some stuff a while back, and I was like, man, that would make a great podcast, a video podcast. And tell them a little bit about what we're thinking.
Sure. I have been following what people call truthers for over a year and a half now, ever since the COVID virus and all that good stuff came out. And, one day I started having epiphanies like, why are they going to the back of our throat for testing if we have a mask on that's supposed to be covering the saliva that comes out of our mouth? Why aren't they swabbing the inside of our mouth? Why would they need to go all the way through our nose to the back to a very suspicious part of the back of our throat we can go into another day? But a lot of things like that. I actually have a picture on my phone back from earlier, before we were born, of all the things that our government and our CDC, NIH, HHS, all of the health folks, recommended we do, like DDT, which was spraying our children directly with bug spray.
No kidding.
Promoting smoking was healthy and safe for pregnant women.
Oh, Lord.
It goes on and on. So when people say, how can you not trust our government? There's a lot of reasons. And, in NIH, HHS, WHO, they aren't government. They are privately funded organizations that got together under the guise, or maybe even for the purpose of doing something for the greater good, but they've been infected by the greater bad. So, and other things, like I sent you a crop circle video.
Yes.
Kind of blew your mind a little bit.
It did blow my mind.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, I've seen these before, and people are out there in the fields and making them.
Oh, yeah.
But then when you...
Farmers and tractors, right? That's all it was.
When you start to really look at it and see how detailed it is, and there's no way in the time frame that they need to actually create one of these things, they don't have it. And it's like, where is this? How is it even possible? But then when you sent me that video, blew my mind.
This chick has done a lot of research.
And that's one thing we're going to do on the podcast, is talk about some of those things. Because when people find out the real thing on those, they're going to be like, wow, because I was.
Yeah, so we were thinking about a lot of wows. So Louis had a great suggestion. We'd like our viewers to send us, whether it's privately, personally, or a comment on whatever your platform you're watching this podcast on, a suggested title for that segment. Yeah. These will be things that are potentially government-oriented, flat earth-oriented, religion-oriented, extraterrestrial-oriented, bioweapon. It could be any of those types of things. So, things that aren't readily accepted the first time you hear them, but we do want to share some research and things and have people thinking and look into them, whether it's for entertainment or for education. That's up to the individual.
And if you have some stories that maybe you want us to cover, that you've looked into and seen it and thought to yourself like, wow, we'll put it on our podcast, because I know, Ann, you'll do the research.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll get the answers to it, because everything you showed me and sent me, I'm just amazed. I mean, at my age, I should have probably seen all this stuff before, but I haven't. Because if it's not out in front of you all the time. So.
It is. That's the whole issue.
Yeah.
It's actually in plain sight, so we discredit it.
Yeah.
We just don't think. We don't think. I mean, if somebody says out loud to you in a forum that's a worldwide forum that 126 world leaders back in the 80s signed an agreement to depopulate us by vaccination, it's public.
Yeah, but nobody knows that.
But it doesn't sound like it's possible or it's reality, so we just dismiss it. That can't be real. It can't be real. And I don't know. I wasn't at the summit. I've seen the video, but I wasn't there. So again, it's discernment, what resonates with you and what doesn't. But we'd love to do that type of thing on a segment. We'd love your suggestions, even paranormal. Love me some every once in a while, like, what's that? You know,
I met a guy about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. He goes around with his son, and they go to these houses, like all these old houses that have history of like bad things in the house. Ooh. And he's like these guys on TV. There's a show on TV that does the same thing, but he has all this equipment. And he came in, he said, Louis, he goes, I thought it was all fake watching it on TV. He goes, but my son got involved in it. And I went with my son to spend time with him, and we started asking people if we can go into the houses. And we started checking around and doing things. He goes, and the things that we've seen and heard, and he goes, it'll blow your mind. He goes, it's real. He goes, and I'm telling you it's real, and I got videos to prove it. And he goes, and we don't alter it or edit it or do anything. And
we ought to have him on.
I know, that's what I was saying. We'll have him on too, because he's got a lot of stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he went to this one house. Oh yeah, he went to this one house. He said it was like back in the day. It's been abandoned for like 40 years, but there was some murders in there. Mm-hmm. And he said he went in there, and they went in this one room, and he was sitting there looking around. There's still old furniture in there. Mm-hmm. He was looking, all the windows are shut and boarded up and everything. He looked over, and the rocking chair started rocking by itself. And he says he looked for his son because he thought his son was messing with him. Yeah. He said his son was in another room. He said his hair stood on his arms, and he's like, oh my God. Yeah. So we got to definitely check that out.
Yeah. And there's some things, that kind of came to light just with my husband and I talking about them. I love watching some of the shows, some in particular. I don't like watching a whole hour and, they got one little sound bite. I'm like, really? Right. It paid all those ads. You got all that money for one little sound bite. But, also if people say they don't believe in spirits or ghosts, but they believe in angels. Okay, well, what are angels? They're spirits. So it could even be something as divine in some situations, or negative, or nefarious in other situations where, a message is trying to be sent. I truly haven't experienced anything personally. But yeah, we'd love to put those types of things on the show too. We want it to be fun. We want you guys to come back, not just talk about boring politics, which we'll throw some stuff in there too, but we want to have some fun. So for this crazy segment, could be called crazy segment, we'd love your input. Louis, did you say pizza? What were you going to offer?
Large pizza, all the toppings. If someone sends us a name for a segment that would be good,
that we choose.
Yep, we'll get you a pizza.
And creds.
Local pizza
We'll give
place.
them creds on the podcast.
Yeah,
absolutely. Cool.
So send us some names. So again, as far as what they're trying to accomplish with the name is just covering what we're going to be talking about, all the different, not conspiracy things, right? Or is that right word?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They've called it conspiracy theories. Actually, the CIA came up with that phrase from what a lot of the folks I follow have said, to discredit people who have challenged things like UFO stories, or, and UFO doesn't mean little green men, guys. It's unidentified flying object. We all have them. It could just be the neighbor's toy being thrown through your yard, right? If you didn't see what it was or don't know what it was, it's unidentified. So there's a lot of other cool stuff like, I'm going to throw out a couple things like chemtrails and, 5G radiation, things like that. There's a whole bunch of crazy stuff out there that is in plain sight. We do want to talk about it again for education or just pure entertainment. Yeah. But a lot of folks who have said they're conspiracy theories, those things have proven to be true over the last decade, and more specifically the last year. I mean, they're rolling out all this stuff in plain sight, very, very obviously, right? Between January 20th and today, things have been fast-tracked, and a lot of them have been proven true. So we just want to have some more fun. We'll talk about, obviously, school board, local issues, fun things that are coming up around town, some government things, good and bad, that are happening from the local level all the way to the federal level. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, good. That's awesome. We might come up with some other segments too.
Yeah, I mean, if you throw some stuff at us that you think's interesting, and we'll talk to some people. We'll have like maybe a focus group of people and say, hey, what do you guys think about this for a segment? And if a lot of them say yes, we'll put it in the podcast because we want entertaining stuff on here.
Absolutely. And if you want to be part of that, just give us a holler.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go see Louis at his shop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lynchburg Pawn Shop.
That's right. Well, not Lynchburg Pawn, Timberlake Pawn.
Timberlake
There
Pawn.
is a
That's
Lynchburg
right. Everybody
Pawn,
says it wrong.
Yeah,
and
they
it's
do.
down. Yeah, Timberlake Pawn.
Mine's up on Waterlick and Timberlake Road where the UPS Express is.
Yep.
Is that an UPS Express? Yeah.
Yep.
In the same plaza.
Yep.
And Express Lane is the other place that's in there. So.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
awesome. Well, first I'm going to mention something that I'll probably get emotional about. Brookville Bees are in the football team, are in the playoffs.
Yes.
And this last Friday was their last home game opportunity for playoffs. So obviously a big night for the seniors. And my senior, Matthew Parker, who is what I call a professional sideline rider. This was his first year. He just walked on. My son is a big boy, but he doesn't want to hurt anyone. So not wanting to hit someone hard is, doesn't make for a great football player. He hasn't missed a practice. He just works hard. So his team wanted to recognize him, and they put him in the third quarter as a running back and pushed him into the end zone for a 2-point conversion.
Awesome. That is awesome.
And, let the other coach know that they weren't running up the scoreboard. And it was, you just can't even duplicate that epic of a moment for
so
my
cool.
son.
Oh, yeah.
So, how wonderful. I appreciate all that this initiated from another football player, thought of this idea, and the rest of the team got totally behind it, as well as the coaching staff. Just a great group of gentlemen.
That is good.
I'm just absolutely, thrilled. And we have a game Friday night against Heritage. If anyone's following local football, our last game against Heritage went into double overtime and we lost. So if there's ever been a perfectly matched pair of teams playing against each other, it will be at Lynchburg City Stadium Friday night. Would love for everybody to come out and sit on the Brookville side and root for the Bees.
That's good.
Really
Awesome.
appreciate that. And this Saturday, they're having a school dance, and how cool is this? The parents put this together, and it's for all grade levels. Not sure if I believe their tickets are still available, I think through today or tomorrow. I'm not quite sure, but how cool is that? And I've volunteered. My husband and I'll be chaperoning at the dance Saturday night. Super excited. So
it seems like the community's starting to do a little bit more and more stuff, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because people are starting to realize, like I just mentioned, there's so many things. I know that people have lost people because of a diagnosis and a positive test. My husband almost died of an aggressive form of pneumonia 3 years ago. If it had been this past year, he would have been diagnosed with COVID. Although there still is no perfectly isolated protein of COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2. SARS-CoV-1 was actually re-identified as pneumonia. So I just want to throw that out there.
See, that's, again, research. That's research stuff that
oh my gosh, I've been digging. And they're changing definitions to try and cover their tails. It's absolutely, they took out the words prophylactic and preventative from the definition of vaccine in the CDC manual. Don't you love it? So now all it does is minimize your symptoms. So why in the heck would you take it? Just blows my mind. But they're hiding in plain sight. It's there if someone wants to find it.
And see, some of that stuff is what we're going to be talking on our podcast.
Yeah.
With facts.
And we love suggestions because we don't want to spend 20 minutes on crop circles if you guys want to hear about vaccines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want to hear about a certain topic, please put it in the comment sections of this podcast or email us.
And we'll share references.
yeah.
We're going to practice how we can share other truthers' videos.
That's right.
So that you're hearing it straight from the source that we heard it from.
We have a computer system set up in the studio here. I just don't know how to work all the different features that it does because it does a lot.
It's like getting new software. You got to figure it out.
It's got everything on it capable of doing it like they do on TV, but it takes a little learning, and we don't have an engineer working for us. It's just us.
Yeah.
So until
it's
I
just
get
Louis, I'm just sitting here talking.
Basically, I had to find out how to learn how to work some of this stuff here that you can't see on the screen now, and it takes time. But I actually have a lady that used to work for a news station that's left. Her contract ran out. They didn't renew her contract. She may be coming on as an engineer for us in the podcast because I got a lot of people now that want to come in and promote their businesses and
throw up a commercial.
Yes, and they're sponsors that want to come on and sponsor us.
Awesome.
So it gives us a little bit of money to maybe hire an engineer to do more stuff on our podcast, and that's what we're looking at now.
Yeah.
So,
And speaking of money, I got to throw this in here. That's a good segue into government, right? It's money.
that's right.
You would be shocked how many people think that now I'm in politics and I'm rich. I think I get $80 a month, maybe. I didn't even know it was a paid position, but that won't even cover my gas from home to Rustburg and my Taco Bell.
Is that me, or are you hearing some loud noise?
It's actually in the building. I can feel the whole floor vibrating below my feet. Something's happening at the building level.
That might have answered my question on should we get another spot in the building.
Or a different building, right?
Different building.
Yeah. But
hopefully it's not coming over to you guys that are listening to this video, because it's pretty loud in my ear.
We're I don't think so. I don't hear it here. So I think it's good. But it feels like maybe a heat pump right below us or something. That's what it feels like. Compressor below us.
Train. So it sounds like in my ears is a train.
Oh, that's good.
All right, sorry.
We'll bring in the train later.
That's right.
But I want to point out, too, Louis was running for delegate. And I've already had people approaching me about higher offices. I'm not even in office yet. So let me get something done so I can say, hey, look what I did in my first elected office. Delegate gets paid $17,000 a year. Are you kidding me? These are our legislators making laws for our Commonwealth of Virginia. Now, not only is that pathetically low, even if you go and look at the hours that would be put in, it's pennies on the dollar of the hours that we put in, not to mention the travel. I know there's some per diem, which, back when I worked for the government, some of our guys made money on per diem because they pack sandwiches instead of go to Olive Garden for lunch, but that's still pennies. But you're not making hundreds off of per diem.
Nope. That's why I said I couldn't afford to stay in there more than 1 or 2 terms if I won, because there's no money in it.
Think of how that limits the people who are willing to do that job. Mm-hmm. I would consider in the future, if I do the job that I plan to do at the school board level, but I'm a very low maintenance, no car payment kind of person. I'll drive older vehicles, that type of thing. And my husband's salary is enough to keep the lights on. So I would consider it, but then work, in my job, some things are very time sensitive in real estate. And if I'm in session from 12 o'clock to 7 p.m., that could crush a deal for me. So I would have to hire an assistant in real estate, which is going to cost more than $17,000 a year. It just makes absolutely no sense to me that our legislators. So think of how that's limiting. So I know I'm getting way over my head here.
That's all true stuff. But that's what I had a conversation with. That
salary needs to change. That has got to change. I'm sorry, but I am a big animal lover, but if we're spending money on saving screech owls or something, that needs to be repurposed into properly compensating the people who are willing to give of their time to. And so people who think there's money in it, I would say you'd have to be at the federal level.
Well, there's
money. And then
there's
still
money.
On the federal level, it's still not commensurate unless you're doing the side things like Pelosi.
Well, here's the thing. I know there's no money in it on the books.
Right, that's what I mean.
But I can assure you right now, there's people that are in there.
Those people to not be crooked? How can you expect them to do their job on that little pittance of a salary?
Well, here's the thing. When I went in, I knew what I was going to make, and I said to everybody, I'm not going to be crooked, so guess what? I know I'm going to lose money taking a position.
Right. I lost money running for school board. I mean, people think I made money. I raised a little over $4,000. I spent a little over $4,000.
Yeah, but all these people that are in these positions, like delegate positions, that's been in there, and I'll say this, there's no reason why that one person should have been in there as long as they had, unless they're doing something they're not supposed to. Well, I'm not saying they.
No.
Let's just put it this way.
Look at the voting record.
Yes, look at the voting record.
How many laws did they present or co-sponsor?
Let's change that up.
How many committees were they on, and what did those committees accomplish? There's got to be accountability, and guess what? None of us have been holding anyone accountable, including me. And I will never be that person again. I'm already planning to ask and be involved in. I want to ask my local representatives, what are the first 3 laws that they're going to repeal now that they have the majority?
Yeah.
Not my first 3. I only have 1 delegate at the House, obviously, but the other delegates that I know that are local here, what are they going to do? Once they get into session in January, what are their day one promises like Youngkin has made? Actually, on the Youngkin standpoint, I don't know if anybody saw, but I think this is fabulous news. Our local senator, Representative Steve Newman, has been officially hired for the transition team.
Okay, good.
for the Yunkin. And I saw just yesterday that Kathy Byron was also included in this transition team. So I just think it's great that we have people right in our backyard we can go ask what's going on in Richmond.
Yeah.
Instead of having to try and go to Richmond. I know they're already our delegates, but they're going to know what's coming for us. And I plan on getting plugged in on that because I don't want to waste 3 months trying to fight something at the school board level if it's already going to be taken care of at the state level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to make sure that I use my time wisely as well.
Well, some of the delegates are accessible.
Right?
Not
Some
all
of the
of them.
delegates that aren't even mine were referring school board questions to me as a candidate instead of answering it themselves or referring them to the school board directly. I mean, that's one thing, guys. If you contact me, once I am sworn in December and I start in January, I did get that officially. I met with Superintendent Johnson on Friday for a little while. It was very informative. I can't just answer you. One, I won't have had the knowledge to have a proper answer until I do research. And if it's something, bus related, or I'm going to have to defer to the transportation department, but I will follow along with the whole thing to make sure that you got proper response. And if you didn't, intervene at that point. So when someone reaches out to the delegate, if they don't have an answer, they should be giving you proper resources. And if they don't, hold them accountable. I'm telling you guys, we need to just start showing up at these people's places of business and writing letters and showing up. Great story. I love this segue. I love watching Mysteries of the Unknown or Mysteries of at the Museum on Discovery History. I can't even remember what it's on. Travel Channel, I think it's on. Last night, how cool is this? And her name was Anne. Her name's Anne Royal. And back in the 1800s, when John Quincy Adams was our president, okay, she was a veteran's widow. And apparently they did nothing for the families back then. I mean, of course, it was all new, right? The whole country was new and people were dying in wars. And the families were just stuck. Now what do? I guess a lot of them truly worked farms. So if they're gone and now they're gone permanently. So she kept writing letters and trying to get appointments with President John Quincy Adams in person to discuss benefits for wives or widows of veterans who've died in battle. He refused to see her, didn't respond to the letters. So she started, well, how else can I see him, right? Are you guys ready for this? So this is before presidents had security teams, okay, in the 1800s. She found out that he bathed in the Potomac nude every morning.
Oh, Lord.
So she went and stalked him, waited for him to get in the water, and then she sat on his clothes until he agreed to discuss benefits for veterans' widows.
First off, if you've ever seen the Potomac, because I lived on the Potomac.
Oh, I know. Maybe in the 1800s.
It was cleaner then, hopefully.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even swim in that water.
No. We wouldn't even fish there in the 80s. We wouldn't
No.
even fish in the Potomac unless we went down where the seawater blended with it way down.
Yeah.
But so how awesome is that?
That is cool.
She was like, she's not going to take it. Somebody needs to do something. She did this all on her own. And I
That
just
is
thought
good.
that was an incredible story. So
And
I
that's
had
what
to
they
share.
need to start doing. Just
We
going
all
to their
need to do
office,
it.
banging on the door at their offices.
Don't take no for an answer.
Because I can tell you now, they have the gatekeepers on their phones. I know my delegate in my district, he ain't taking no calls from anybody.
Well, I'll
I
tell
already
you,
know people have tried.
even every level, people
Yeah.
are not responding to emails and responding to phone calls. Now, there are a lot of phone calls I get for work I don't want to respond to, but I do.
know.
It's called having some integrity about myself
And being professional.
and being professional. Absolutely.
That's the key. Yep.
So that's a good segue to school board. We've had a lot of parents, general members of the public. That sounds weird, doesn't it? Members of the general public, dyslexic this morning, that have mentioned contacting school board members in Campbell County with no responses. So that's unacceptable. I think that I'm not in there yet, but there should be some type of censuring or, write-up or something. I know we're elected officials and the administration is quote unquote hired and fired by the school board, but there's got to be something in place regarding disciplinary action. And I do plan on looking into that. Because if somebody stands up and complains about me not getting back, I'm not just going to say, I'm sorry. I want to know when, where, why, and how. And one, it should never have made it to a meeting. I should have already handled it on my phone or, so anyway, that just won't be tolerated any longer. And I do want to share some good news from across the Commonwealth, a bunch of school boards standing up. So Hampton Roads School Board said no to the transgender model policy, saying they already have policies in place to handle all these things, which is true. Steve Newman, our local senator, said that at the very beginning of all of this, when this push came out in spring or early or midsummer, something like that, when it was really super hot and the deadline for responding to Richmond was near. And he said, yes, between Title IX and the anti-bullying policies, and I think there's one other one, I didn't bring all my notes today, they're already in place. And I know for a fact too, you guys, I mean, my son has been on an IEP since he was 2 years old. That's an individual education plan, and any child can request one. And as long as there's something that, makes sense to the school that child needs any type of reasonable accommodation for anything. It could even be a broken arm as a 504 version of an IEP. There are things available to students who need or feel they need some type of intervention or assistance at school. So those things are available to everyone. Fluvanna, which we played preseason, I believe, or that might have been the one that's canceled. I can't keep up now. They actually wrote a letter and said to the National School Board Association that they no longer want to be involved with them or associated with them or members of them. So far, I have not been able to confirm or deny if Campbell County is a member of the National Association. I know we're a member of the Virginia School Board Association, which is woke. So I will be looking into that regarding our requirements to be members. They do provide training, so that might be a reason. But I was, hats off to Fluvanna to say I'm not going to be a member. And the reason that they denounced the National Association, the School Board Association, is because they're the ones who wrote the letter to Biden that wanted to call parents domestic terrorists and have the FBI investigate anyone who spoke out. I mean, they weren't even specific about if they broke the law. That's what it should have said. If someone violates the law or threatens violence, then we'd like your assistance. That's not what it said.
Which is normal.
Yeah, which happens every day anyway. You don't have to write a letter about it, right? And then Richmond Public Schools, you ready for this? They put a vaccine mandate in place for their teachers. And if the teachers didn't take it, they were withholding pay. 26 teachers quit. So they reversed their policy. Now they don't withhold money. They still strongly encourage the vaccine for the teachers, but they are no longer. So it's happening, people. People are standing up all around the Commonwealth, all around the nation. I know you've seen it. I'm super excited to see that.
Yep.
I did learn in my meeting on Friday with Superintendent Johnson that when we received the CARES Act money, the first thing that they did was contact Southern Air that they have a contract with for all the HVAC units and put in the ionizers. So I told him, that's what we need you to talk about at the school board meeting. We don't need these other school board people patting themselves on the back because the volleyball team won, which Brusburg won again, yay.
Yeah.
Because they weren't at the game. They didn't. Well, some of them might have been at the game. But, the way that they're presenting it is that it's their accomplishment instead of the child's accomplishment is how it's, you've been there. Yep. And they're not mentioning these things like, I bet you all the money in the world that none of the parents, they said that they put a Facebook post out, but I would say less than 100 of the gazillion parents know about this ionizer in the school. Well, if they're already ionizing the air in our schools, why are we wearing masks? Mm-hmm. Because that's killing 99.9% of the viruses of all kinds. So anyway, wanted to mention that. What a great thing that is. Yep, and that's what we need to hear about. I'm also excited I wish I had all the news on this, but I asked why we don't say the Pledge of Allegiance or have an invocation or even a moment of silence before our meetings, because every meeting I've ever been to had both. Yep. And there was no concrete answer, but it will be looked into. So that will be my day one promise to everybody, is that I am going to make sure that that starts happening at our school board meetings. Maybe not by the January meeting, because that will be officially my first day, but by the February meeting, I plan to see the flag on the stage, the Pledge of Allegiance said, and if not an invocation or prayer, actually a moment of silence.
Yeah.
So super excited. Can't wait to get started.
We need to bring back the good things that we had before.
And talk about the positive things.
Always,
What are they actually doing? The good things that are happening at the schools, like the money that they've gotten, grant money to, open the gym, things like that. The way that it's being presented isn't making it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to try and help with that. As you guys know, I like the PR part. I like the marketing part. I'm hoping that I can be a positive influence on how they get the good news out.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a couple things I want to say real fast, and then I want to bring up my whole ordeal with the running for delegate. But I do want to tell Gary Penn, and I'll say Gary's whole name. Just Gary Penn did a great job for me, helping me, introducing me to people around town on my campaign. Mm-hmm. And I want to thank Gary Penn for really, really helping me, and I really appreciate everything he did. Mm-hmm. So I just want to throw that out there as well.
Yeah, I actually had people who came up during early voting say that when I would throw in a little plug for you, they'd be like, yeah, Gary told me all about Louis.
Yes. Great guy. Does a lot of stuff around the community. I mean, he's appreciated by everybody, but he honestly deserves the appreciation from everybody because he does a lot of work, a lot of charity work. He just cares. He's one of the few people. I mean, I know a lot of people, but not a lot of people that care like Gary cares, and he does care, and he tries to do as best he can do and help people and do all these things. He does a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot. I couldn't even name all the stuff he's involved in with the community. Yeah. So I just want to thank you, Gary Penn, for everything. So, do you got anything else you want to hit on?
I know we're over 30. I do want to just say Kyle Rittenhouse needs to be acquitted today.
Yeah,
he should have never been charged. It's just an absolute. I was telling Louis earlier, I really feel this is part of the quote unquote show for those of you who know what that means. But it's public to show us that our judiciary in some cases is off the rails.
Yeah, it's insane.
Some of the things that it's like somebody calling you and asking a question that you have already answered 14 times, right, in writing. Like they're not even paying attention. The DA asking him why he did things when he knows why. I mean, they've been investigating the thing for over a year, for goodness sake, is just blatant, not only disrespect, but I really feel that it's truly, like I said earlier, to show us that our judiciary is off the rails. We have been conditioned and taught to trust lawyers and trust judges. The judge is, I think, doing a pretty good job, even though he was appointed, by what I consider the wrong side, and doesn't have the most glorious of pasts from what's been disclosed. But I think he's doing a good job of keeping it fair. And how dare they attack him for saying Asian food was racist?
They try to come up with anything
after our president brought up a baseball reference in the most inappropriate time and said the most inappropriate thing, and they just cover it up. So anyway, the media's got to go, but I think that this is another reason for that. Look at what the media has said about this child that are all lies. Yep. I mean, made up lies. I mean,
they're chasing a kid. You see a gun come out. They got him on the ground, kicking him. And if I hate to say this, but if I'm on the ground and you're kicking me and hitting me with something, I carry my weapon everywhere I go. Someone's going to get shot. Mm-hmm. I mean, I hate to say it. I don't want to ever have to shoot anybody. Mm-hmm. But if I feel like my life's in danger, at that moment, I'm going to protect my life. And you know what? It is what it is. You don't want to ever shoot anybody. But the thing is, you got him on the ground. You're kicking him. You're hitting him. You're beating him with a skateboard. And he has a weapon, so what do? Put your weapon down, let them get it and shoot you? I mean, come on.
Why would you rush and attack someone who's holding a weapon?
Absolutely. I'd be running the other way or taking cover. I mean, what
are you truly thinking?
It's stupid.
So there's some other things that we could throw into our little conspiracy hour regarding what those people were thinking. The folks who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. There are reasons. These people were all convicted criminals, the three that were involved in this shooting. Horrible pasts. Horrible. And white. So for anyone to even try and twist this into something racial, again, is the blatant made up lies of the mainstream media to try and divide us. The gun grab, it's all about the gun grab. Like you just said, you carry. They're going to try and take away the concealed carry.
Let me tell you, on the police department,
yeah,
you grab one of our guns as an officer. You grab my gun, you're getting shot because that's telling me you're going to kill me with my gun.
Yeah.
So if you go for the gun, you're in trouble.
Yeah. We're allowed to protect ourselves.
Absolutely.
There's nothing more valuable. This is another exercise too, guys. All of this is there's nothing more invaluable than your life.
Yes.
Not your job. Not your house, not your car, not your 3 cell phones and 5 big screen TVs. Those are not important.
No.
Your life.
That's right.
And what you do with it is what's important. But
and I think
the gun grab, the defense attorney actually said, you brought a gun there. You only bring a gun if you intend to use it. So he's saying that everyone who has it, he said
That's insane. I carry a gun everywhere I go. I don't plan on ever using my gun.
Because they're trying to remove the concealed
But if
carry.
I have to use it, then we're going different story. But if I have to use it, guess what? It's at a point where my life is in danger to die. Is when I'm going to use it. Only then.
So if they try and take the CC away, right? Then we'll just all open carry.
Right? Don't matter to me.
Bring it.
I don't like open carry myself.
Yeah.
Because I figure carry concealed. That way I'm not a setting target if someone tries to do something seeing I have a gun. That's my opinion.
That's what the police have always said to us when we've had.
So I always carry concealed. But if I got to carry it open, I'll carry it open. I'll have another one concealed, so it don't matter just in case I lose one. But the thing is, you never want to have to shoot anybody. Nobody wants to take a life. But if it's my life or theirs, it's theirs. Hate to say it, and I'm going to do everything to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
Hate to say it. That's just how it is.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't want to die either. No one wants to die.
Yeah. All the lies they said, like I was saying before we got on, that he's driven all the way across the state to cross state lines. It's like when I lived in Northern Virginia and I crossed the Potomac into Maryland. I mean, it's a couple miles. And his dad lived there. His mom lived where he lived. He worked in there. He was fire department. The prosecution, this is my favorite snippet, and I wish we had done this. We talked about this before. He said, you went to help put out fires or whatever. And he said, why did you think that was so important to do? And he said, Kyle said, it was a fire. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just
that prosecutor is
the guy was in the fire department. Kyle was a member of the fire department. He provided medical aid to people. He had scrubbed graffiti off of monuments all day. It's just so absolutely ridiculous.
Again, that's some of these people, these prosecutors and the media in general, they're a joke. They're jokes.
And this whole street attacking this young man. I mean, he definitely is a young man, very mature, already knew, with his weapons. He could have been firing wildly into that entire around.
Yeah,
he could have been doing around.
Like
I would have been doing it around the street, like everybody. Yeah,
because you don't know who's trying to kill you, who has guns out there pointing at you at that moment.
Exactly. I mean, he was 100%
sweep the street.
Absolutely, and he did not. No, he restrained. They even had de-escalation. Folks come in and say every move he made was defensive.
Just say
every single move he made.
And then
was
you got
defensive.
some prosecutor up there for another agenda, trying to push something else.
Yeah,
against
so I wanted
this
to
kid.
Throw that in there. I know we were running, but
I wish
Kyle needs to be acquitted. We need a hashtag acquit Kyle.
What's right's right and what's wrong is wrong. And let me tell you,
I hope he ends up running for office and crush all these people.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, I believe in doing the right thing. I don't care what color you are. If you're green, black, purple, red, white, it don't matter. Yep. Color to me does not matter. Yep. What matters to me is right. What's right's right. What's wrong's wrong.
Absolutely.
And I don't care about the rest of it. I don't care about the rest. I care about what's right. That's the war we're in
right now. Is good versus evil, right versus wrong.
That's right. Got nothing to do with the other stuff.
Yeah.
But let's hope he gets off, because
what's right, people.
You got to stand up for what's right, and it's starting to get to now where we talked about this a little earlier, that this world, man, they're starting to do things that I see, it's not good.
Oh my gosh, the depopulation thing has been in front of our face 1,000 times.
When you said that, I kind of like, I'm thinking in my mind when you said that, we got to talk about that, because I wasn't aware of that. I'd like to hear about it.
I wasn't either.
And that's scary in itself.
I have a clip of a newspaper article. Can't tell the year but anyway, it was where Bill Gates said that we need to get to 500 million or whatever through forced vaccination and depopulation. And of course, he was the eugenics guy. Remember, we all thought he was the crazy depopulation, zero carbon footprint guy. And now all of a sudden we're trusting him. Even my son who lives in New York, who, we have very different views on almost everything. even he has said, who the hell is trusting a computer guy with their medical decisions?
Yeah.
You know, because my son's in that field.
We definitely need to talk about it in the next podcast.
Yeah.
But we're pushing it on time.
Yep.
right
You
now,
guys tell us what you want to hear.
Yes, absolutely. Let us know. Email
And what should we
us.
call it?
Yes, very important because we want to do that. We're going to start these podcasts. We're going to try to do them, like I said, every week. We try every week. We've been pretty much doing one a week, haven't we?
Yeah, we missed last week, but we switched from Friday to Tuesday.
Yeah.
But,
so everyone,
we'll
please,
figure it out.
Send it to us, and then we really appreciate everyone listening in and supporting us. We got a lot of followers, which is a good thing. We want more followers, and we'll keep doing these as long as we can. So everyone, thank you. Have a good week. Appreciate everybody. Thanks, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.